Welcome to the Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, as we are Monday to Friday. If you can join us, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button. We're absolutely delighted that you are joining us on a regular basis in great numbers, and the podcast downloads have been absolutely magnificent over the last couple of months. 500,000 of you all over the course of the 2 months, all enjoying the podcast, and thank you to so many of you for subscribing to our YouTube channel as well, because we're talking football, and that's what we like to do, get guests in that have played the game. And of course, for myself and Hugh, I think it's fairly safe to say, Hugh, as journalists, we can revel in it today, because these two guys we've got with us, Charlie Adam and Ian Ferguson, have scored a few rakers.
Absolute class. I mean, the first thing, Ian must be fed up with, the first thing you always remember about Ian, if you're a man of a certain age, is his goal against Bayern Munich when Bayern Munich were really the world champions, not as a club side, as an international side. It was the German international team. So I think everybody has great memories of that, and other goals as well. I mean, you can throw in a cup final goals and etc.
It's only an hour of the show. For God's sake.
I've not talked about Charlie yet.
Let's talk about Tam Cowan all day. I watched the show. I mean, he's anti-Mary in Australia or whatever. Let's just talk about Tam Cowan's family.
It was the longest hello to his auntie Martha in Australia. It was unbelievable. So the good thing is we've got two guys who could easily release a DVD of cracking goals. Of course, Ian had a great time at Rangers. Let's not forget Dundee United and Motherwell as well. Have I missed anybody out? You played with Dundee as well.
Dundee was my first team. I was there, signed at 13, and left when I was 21 to go to Rangers.
Yeah. And Hearts as well will hold a special place, because I think every Jambo I speak to, that's one of the goals that they love in European football.
I think it was voted the best ever European goal. I don't know how many there was, you know what I mean? But it was a great night against a fantastic Bayern Munich team. A real Scottish night. It was teaming from the heavens, and they didn't really fancy it, and we managed to get the 1-0 victory, and I was lucky enough to get a goal. Yeah,
and due to the fact that having spent such a long time in Edinburgh, my best pal Robbo will not be happy that you won that competition.
He's got every other goal.
I was just about to say to you, I know. Anyway, it's great to have you with us, Ian. It's great when you think about this weekend, because everybody's talking about the big match. We're really looking forward to it. We'll be speaking to our reporter Kerry Pollock, who's out there at Ibrox ahead of it to give us all the latest news. And it's a game that, for many, I think, they're viewing this one, Hugh, as win or bust for Rangers. Is it as stark as that?
I don't think so. I think it'd be very difficult if they got beat. I think 6 points behind, going towards the last game before the split isn't a good place to be. But I don't think I don't think a draw is desperately bad. Rangers will want to win. There's no doubt about it. They want to win, get back level in points, get momentum, get the ghost of the Celtic Park game out of the system. But I don't think it's as stark as that, Peter.
Yeah. Well, listen, there's lots to talk about, because there are so many stories emerging. I'm delighted to say out there at Ibrox for us is our reporter, Kerry Pollock. Kerry, first and foremost, everybody's talking. The buzz is about the team news from both camps.
Yes, of course. Well, the major concern for Rangers is today that they told us that Alfredo Morelos won't be part of the squad for Sunday. The striker was pictured in crutches in Glasgow Airport earlier today, so that won't just be a big blow for Sunday for Rangers. But looking at their April schedule, he may miss the games against Braga. As for Celtic, Ange Postecoglou told the press today that with the exception of James Forrest, everyone will be available. So to the delight of the Celtic fans, that means that Kyogo could be available for selection for the first time since picking up that injury in August and Boxing Day.
Yeah, over and above that, both managers, every word, every fan will be hanging on it, Kerry. What's the word from Giovanni Van Bronckhorst and Ange Postecoglou?
Starting with Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, he's straight to the point with the media today, said that Morelos will be out for Sunday and also will be out for some time. Ange Postecoglou, well, everyone will be wondering what his game plan will be come Sunday, and the message from the Celtic boss was clear.
Yeah, Ange Postecoglou certainly trying to rally the troops. What about the odds on the game? We're going to offer our opinion on this one. Which way are the bookies going, Kerry?
Well, for Rangers to take 3 points on Sunday, they are sitting at 6 to 4. And for Celtic to increase their lead at the top of the Premiership table, you'll get them at 9 to 5. And of course, for the event of a draw, that is 23 to 10. But as we get closer to Sunday, I'm sure that those odds will fluctuate.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to hear from Kerry out there at Ibrox. Thanks to Kerry. It's one of those games that everybody, never mind trying to get a ticket for it, everybody will want to basically be in the press box looking forward to this one as well, because I hate to be a killjoy on this one. I think it would be better if there was a huge away support, whether it's Celtic Park with Rangers fans or Ibrox with Celtic supporters. There's only going to be 700 of them. Is it a huge advantage in your mind that the majority, 49,300, will be Rangers fans, Charlie?
Absolutely. You know, it's, you know, you run at Ibrox and that left-hand side is full of, you know, green and gold. It's obviously, it makes a difference, and when you've got your whole crowd behind you. I've been to a couple of Old Firm games when there was no Celtic fans there, and the atmosphere was incredible. 700, they'll be able to make a bit of a noise, but that will be stamped out with the vast majority of Rangers fans. So no, it's a great place to go, and I think Rangers will need to be, I think they will be fired up for it from the last Old Firm game, and you know, I think it's going to be a cracker. But you know, Celtic fans will be delighted to hear the team news this afternoon that Kyogo's fit. Won't play, but will be in and around it, and I think that will give them a boost. Morelos is a huge loss. You know, he's the main number 9. He's been sensational the last couple of years in Europe, and there's nobody else in that Rangers squad that can do what he can do. So they'll have to adapt a little bit different, and you know, Starkveld and Carter Vickers will be delighted that Morelos is not playing. Yeah,
well, as Kerry alluded to there was press conferences today. Here's basically the crux of Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's thoughts on this one. Unfortunately for all of us, Alfredo won't be with us on Sunday. We won't have him back for the next couple of weeks. Kemar Roofe is ready. He's had some important moments for us and some good goals. We didn't play well in the last Old Firm game, particularly in the first half. We have learned from that, and the team is much more controlled on the ball. I'm confident my team will perform well on Sunday. With the remaining games, anything can happen. I think it may go all the way to the end of the season. So with that in mind, I expect, and do you expect, Ian, a different approach from Rangers? Because I was flabbergasted the way they went about their business at Celtic Park.
Yeah, well, I think as Charlie pointed out, it's a very intimidating atmosphere in an Old Firm game at any time. But I think Rangers having the majority of the crowd will make the game different for Rangers this time, because they went out there with no fans, lost early goals, and basically it wasn't until half time that they actually started to have a rhythm and start to play the game that they would normally play. But at that time they were 3-0 down. So I would think that the attitude of the players now would be, don't play the occasion, play the game. You've got home advantage, you've got a massive crowd that's going to be behind you from the first whistle to the last, and it's very important that they don't get overexcited. I think they have to play their normal game and hope that the big players come to the fore. I mean, you're going to be missing Alfredo Morelos, but again, you've possibly Aaron Ramsey coming back from international duty. I think he showed touches in the last few games. His quality and getting on the end of things. He scored against Dundee, which was a vital goal in the last game. And I think it's time for players to stand up. Business end of the season. This is what you're paid for. This is where the honours get dished out. So whoever comes in to replace Alfredo, I'm quite sure if it's Kemar Roofe, he's looked very sharp and hungry to get a game. He's come on and contributed over the last few months with important goals when it's been required. So if he starts the game on Sunday, then I'm quite sure he'll be up for it. And hopefully, as I said, it will be a fantastic game to watch. I'm lucky enough I work at the game, so I get my ticket for nothing. Yeah. So I'll be there, and I'm looking forward to an exciting game. And I think Rangers will just edge it for me because of home advantage and because of the crowd backing and stuff. So.
Yeah, it's 4:10. You've gone too early.
Right.
I can't believe it. Listen, it usually takes us 2 minutes to 5 to drag it out of Ruffy. He's shooting.
I don't mind.
You've shot from the halfway line. I can't believe it on the show. But over and above that, I mean, Ian's highlighted, Charlie's highlighted, okay, Morelos is out, there's nothing you can do about it. I'm more intrigued with, of course, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst talking about people stepping up to the plate as well, all the players that potentially could be match winners. This time around, I think the key for Rangers supporters will be in that ground is seeing Celtic going that way this time.
Yeah, I think that is really key. And interesting to hear what the boys think as well about how he might set up defensively, Van Bronckhorst, because they definitely sat back at Celtic Park. Now, whether that was the barnstorming start of the Celtic.
But Rangers have sat back in majority of all firm games, because when the counter-attacks, when the press is when they've gone and pressed Celtic, Celtic have played through them. The reason they're sitting off is because when they forced Celtic into an area, and because at times Celtic were so expansive, when the ball turned over, they had Kent, Arfield, people that in good areas where they can go and hurt Rangers. Because if you go and open up to Celtic, they'll cause you problems. So if you sit tight and you allow it, and then when the ball turns over and your transition's very good, they've caused Rangers Rangers have caused them a lot of problems over the last couple of Old Firm games, apart from that one at Celtic Park. So I don't see Rangers changing too much. I don't think Rangers will come out and go gung-ho and try and chase Celtic everywhere. I think you'll see a Dutch sort of type of game where, under Stephen, where they used to sit in a little bit. Kent will play a little bit tucked in a little bit as well. And when they do spring, they'll go and they'll attack with pace. So I don't see much of Rangers thinking Rangers will go and attack Celtic as in, we'll go gung-ho and go after them. I don't think they will.
How do you think they'll set up at the back? Do you think
they'll stay with 4. I don't see them.
Look at this predicted 11, Charlie, and see what you think. And Ian, you can jump in as well here. But as far as Rangers are concerned, McGregor, Tavernier, Golson, Balogun, Bassey, Jack, Lundstrom, Aribo, Ramsey, Roof and Kent. I mean, Helander maybe?
Helander possibly. But yeah, no, it's close to what I would think. It's one of them days. Glenn Kamara come in somewhere. It is a difficult decision. Lundstrom, I think, has been excellent since he's come into the team. Yeah. That strong, powerful runner. Aribo's going to play, and Jack's been tremendous. So, no, I think that probably will be the team. Ramsey's, I think, has got to play. I think he's one that can go and change your game. He's got a bit of confidence. You can see that. He's played in the last few weeks for Rangers, played in the Wales game, weekend pass. So I think he'll play, and he could be the one that can make the big decisions, because he sees things that no many players in both teams will be able to see in the Old Firm game.
Yeah, and with that, every Rangers fan would have been heartened by the Welsh manager Rob Page's comments in the other friendly, because he just quite simply said, look, he's rested. He's going back to Ibrox fully fit.
Yeah, I think it was a great bit of news that he had a good game in the first game, and he was rested because, again, although he needs match practice and he gets up to speed, I think he's gradually getting there, and it's a massive time for Rangers from now to the end of the season, and he could play a massive part in that because he brings quality, he brings goals, he brings good link-up play, and I agree. I think that would be the team that I would put out on Sunday as well. I think he will go with a 4-3-3 formation that he's been more or less doing since he came to the club. I think defensively, with John Lundstrom sitting there with Ryan Jack, I think that gives James Tavernier the options to go forward, knowing that they'll fill those gaps on the way back, because we all know Celtic have got massive firepower up front. They'll probably come and play the same ways they've been playing since the start of the season. I don't see them sitting back either, so it makes for an open game, and I'm quite sure Charlie's right that Rangers defensively will sit and try to contain things, and then you've got players like Ryan Kent, Kemar Roof up front. His movement's really good, he's really sharp, he's been really hungry to get into the team, and I think Aaron Ramsey brings that goal threat and that quality of link-up play as well. Joe Aribo, for me, before he went to the African Nations, I thought he was easily the best player in Scotland. He's came back maybe a wee bit tired, but again, big game player. Same with Ryan Jack. I think Ryan Jack makes such a difference to Rangers when he plays. He gets everybody motivated, and you can see they're on the front foot. And I think the one thing that the manager's done since he came in, he's got them more defensively sound. He doesn't want two full-backs going at the same time. He's got cover, and he's got Lundstrom, I think, has been a massive injection in the midfield for Rangers as well, defensively.
Yeah.
And helped that. Gives them more or less two teams, the defensive side, and then you've got 4 or 5 players who can go and exploit spaces at the back that Celtic will hopefully be leaving when they're pushing forward.
Yeah, and with that in mind, I'm glad you mentioned Kent, because for me, you know, if a manager needs to, sometimes I don't know what he's like as a person. Does he need a cuddle? Does he need somebody to tell him he's potentially one of the match winners? But for me, if he's on his game, he's the type of guy that I like, players that can go past and then suddenly make it a 2-on-1, or he's 20 yards from goal and he can do something special. And he, for me, in the Rangers side, is that player.
Yeah, and he also has had good moments in Old Firm games as well. He's a kind of player that's hasn't, you know, he's like everybody else. Can't be 9 out of 10 in every match, but he does seem to revel in playing against Celtic, and I think part of that as well is like you know, that speedy break, makes good decisions. I don't think he's had a great season. You know?
Yeah.
The injury killed him. At the start of the season, he never started well. I think obviously linked with Leeds and things like that. Probably his head was a little bit all over the place. Then picked up a couple of injuries. Never really stayed fit for a bit. Come back from the injuries really well. Had a little dip, but back in the European games, he's been phenomenal. Big moments. We talk about big players, big moments, and he's turned up in the big games. I know it's difficult every week, maybe against your Motherwells and that. He's not done probably what you think, but Dortmund, you know, and other big European games, the Celtic game, he's turned up in the big moments, and this is the type of players that you need. If
he turns up in the next 4 or 5 games, everybody will forget about this.
Absolutely.
Ian's talking about, you know, a couple of, you know, the end of the season, you know, the months. It's as quick as the next 4 or 5 games can define, really positively or negatively define Rangers' season.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
They've got Cup semi-final, they've got Celtic on Sunday, they've got Braga home and away. 4 or 5 good performances and the whole thing changes.
That's why you play football. I mean, we were lucky enough to play at that level. I mean, I got to a final European tournament with Dundee United. I mean, God knows how many games we played that season. But these are the games you want to be involved in. So it means that you're progressing into the later stages of a European competition, semi-final of the Scottish Cup, and you're sitting at the top end of the league. I mean, they're just behind Celtic in the run-in. So again, it's a fantastic time to be a Rangers player, I would imagine, because you're involved in these 3 tournaments right up to the very end of the season. So
yeah, and I always think as a player it's good to start playing round about March, April when the awards are handed out.
The forms are coming out.
I mean, the forms are probably already done now. You know, they're already out. Not just the same as England. The forms are already done in January.
I mean, it was crazy. They used to who's your player of the year in December, and you go, well, up to now.
Absolutely.
And then there's a end of the season to come.
There's a late run. Well, listen, we've looked in detail at the Rangers camp, and Charlie, Ian and Hugh offering their opinion on the key players. You can give us your view as well. I'm just looking at some of the basic points that lots of people are making. We try and read out as many as we possibly can, but
a lot of a Rangers show today, is it?
I was just looking, I'm thinking to myself, obviously, this is one of those ones where you don't want to read out too many of them because they go down a certain road and you're never getting back to your own sanity. Nevertheless, a lot of people obviously talking about this one and giving their opinion on how they think it's going to go. So thank you to you for your messages on our live feed. Keep them coming, and we'll try and read out a few of them a little later on in the show. But over and above that, as far as Celtic's camp is concerned, Ange Postecoglou has a simple message for the players.
Our approach has been the same whether we've played home or away, and it'll be the same on Sunday. We're going to set up our team to try and impose our football on the game, because that's what gives us the best chance of success. So, for us, it's not about adjusting what we're going to do. It's about trying to make sure that the game's played in the areas we want it to be played, because again, that gives us the best chance of success.
Yeah, I get a strong feeling that Plan A is exactly what's going to happen. Plan A is high press, work your socks off, try and maintain a longer period beyond the 60-minute mark where they are on the front foot. I mean, I think everybody, as Ian mentioned, as Charlie mentioned, you know what's coming from Celtic now.
Absolutely, and he kind of plays reverse mind games. He doesn't say, "Oh, we'll see what." He says, "This is the way we're going to play. This is." His rhetoric all the time is, "This is what's got us here. So we're going to do what's got us here. We're just going to keep on doing what has got us to the top of the league." And that's what they'll do. I mean, I don't see any sort of sleight of hand. I don't see. You'll know that in Old Firm games yourself. You know, the way Walter Smith or whoever, Martin O'Neill, that would bring in somebody. So they said, what has he brought in?
Me.
You. I was leading up to that. but remember, there was always. I don't think you're going to see that with him. I mean, even the only question mark, would he start Kyogo? I don't think he will. But that wouldn't be a shocker either, because it would just be the same setup with a different personnel. I think what you see is what you're going to get from Celtic.
Well, with that in mind, Ian, if you look at that lineup from Celtic's point of view, I mean, it's fairly straightforward. Kyogo is probably a wee bit of PR to give everybody a boost. Celtic fans will be looking and seeing him on the bench. I think we're all agreed on that. Hart, Juranovic, Carter-Vickers, Starfelt, possibly Taylor there, O'Reilly, McGregor and Hatate, Abada, Giakoumakis and Jota. And again, you know the strengths of them.
Well, the strengths are obviously the way they've started from the start of the season. They've just went gung-ho and attacked teams from the off, and I think it makes for a good game to watch on Sunday for me, because you'll have Celtic will probably try and start on the front foot, try and make a mark in the game, but again, you're playing it in front of 50,000 Rangers fans in Sunday who will be driving their team forward the other end. So again, I see it being end to end and exploiting gaps. And
who in that side, when you look at it, you're thinking, if you're obviously going to be there at the game, you're looking at it, you're saying, if you're a Rangers fan, the majority of them inside that stadium, and you think, is there players in there that you think are match winners? If we've talked about Kent, who for you is in that Celtic lineup?
Well, I think you've got to look at the boy Giakoumakis, because he's scored a couple of hat-tricks of late. He's certainly on the ball, and he's putting the ball in the net. So again, I would imagine he'll be a major player for them on Sunday if they can get service to him. It's up to the Rangers defenders to keep him under lock and key. But again, they've got the boy Hatate coming from midfield as well. I think they've all got goals in them, and Callum McGregor obviously will be sitting in midfield. He knows this game inside out, the Old Firm game, try to keep them calm, but I do expect Celtic from the off to go on the offensive on the front foot, so that will leave some spaces at the back for hopefully Rangers in some respect to exploit, but it'll be an exciting game, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so finely balanced. You're actually just saying to yourself, if Rangers are looking for Kent to step up to the plate, I'm looking and I'm saying to myself, of a similar stature.
Jota. I think Celtic Rangers got to keep Jota and Abada quiet. Keep them quiet, you get a foothold in the game. Two terrific players that can go both ways. Abada, everybody thought, well, I'm not sure. He's still a baby, he's 19 years of age. 14 goals, assists are incredible. He's had a phenomenal season. He could be in the run for a Young Player of the Year. So I think if you keep they two quiet, then Rangers will definitely get a foothold in the game. Jota for me, I think can win you a game at any moment. Like Kent, bit of magic. Can go both ways. Terrific talent. So like I say, I think it's as good an Old Firm game for a long time that we'll see.
I'll tell you what's great about it. We've all analysed every aspect of a 4-3-3. We've all talked about. I like the fact that we've all talked about going that way. But suddenly, when you think about it, in these games, as you know from previous games that we've all sat in the press box and watched it all unfold, and you hope there's going to be lots of goal-mouth incident, but suddenly there are two goalkeepers there with a tremendous amount of experience. And in games that we've watched in the past, certainly in the last 5 years, sometimes the keeper comes up with something. Have a look at Hart and McGregor and the stats here, Hugh. Suddenly you're saying to yourself, Alan McGregor's experience, some people were questioning it, suddenly he's pulling out wonder saves, and Joe Hart has quite simply steadied the ship.
Well, the strange thing about Celtic is the Celtic's defensive record, because everybody talks about them going forward, the front three, goals, etc. They've got the best defensive record in Scotland, and that is unusual. That's unusual. Celtic being a tight defensive team, getting. And I think the reason for it is I think Carter-Vickers has been huge, and I think Celtic will really struggle to hang on to him. He's been so good that and Starfelt, who has his critics as well,
Growing into the season, isn't he?
I think he's growing into the season. So Celtic defence have been pretty strong. The two goalkeepers are smashing. You don't even have... I mean, two goalkeepers' pedigree is astonishing. You just have to look at the number of caps they've got. McGregor, again, during the season, everybody said, you know, he's lost this goal, he's lost that goal, he's lost, you know, etc., etc. Old cliche, be disappointed with this, that. But in the last Old Firm game, he was sensational. And if you look at him, if you look at his highlight reel just on Celtic games, it would last for hours.
Yeah.
I mean, he's all. I mean, even in, you know, last season when Rangers strolled to the title, there was moments against Celtic when it was nothing each and it could have gone either way, where McGregor was just making top class saves. He was just he was unbeatable.
Yeah, I mean, you must have, when you actually chat to Rangers fans, Ian, it's amazing that some people are actually calling him into question. But keepers, when they make a mistake, it's so highlighted.
Yeah, I think it's just because he's, what, 39 now or turned 40. I mean, they will start to question that because he's getting a wee bit older, but when he's called upon, he certainly stands up to the mark, and certainly in big games, European nights and Old Firm games. And I mean, Joe Hart in the opposition goal as well is a very experienced goalkeeper. So I'm quite sure, I think both of them will be reasonably busy on Sunday.
Yeah.
And again, you would be looking for your experienced players to stand up, and one of them, certainly from the Rangers' point of view, is Alan McGregor. He's done it in the past. He knows what this fixture's all about. And you can see even last season when I was watching some of the games, I would do a wee bit of Rangers TV and you could hear the players quite clearly. And even although Rangers were doing very well and I think they lost a goal at Ibrox, he was very vocal. You could see the hunger in him. Losing one goal, he just was going crazy.
Yeah.
So it's that level of professionalism that he's got, and he loves clean sheets and he wants to have that on his record at the end of his career. And any time he's ever been called into action with Rangers, he's stood up to the mark, and I'm quite sure he'll do it again.
Yeah, I'm looking at the odds in this one. You just can't separate them. It's just so tight when you see the bookies. And by the way, this will fluctuate across every bookmaker. But 6-4 Rangers, 9-5 the Celtic to win, and the draw at 23-10. Charlie, nobody's going to win a lot of money, are they?
No, I think it'll be a draw. I'm hoping for a high-scoring draw. It's I just hope it's an Old Firm classic, and we're talking about it for years to come. It would be, you know, because I think this is as close as both teams really have been at each other for a long, long time.
Is a draw good enough for Rangers in your mind?
No, I think they have to win, but I just think it will be a draw. Lose, then it makes it very difficult to win the title. But you know, stranger things have happened. You know, club teams have been 7 points ahead before. Yeah. And things have changed, and you know, got too easy for other teams. But you know, football's not over until it's mathematically impossible. But I think if most important, Rangers don't lose the game, it gives them another opportunity in the next Old Firm game as well.
Yeah, and of course the one thing that I would hate to be in this type of fixture, Hugh, is the ref. So good luck, Willie Collum, because you're a loser on both sides no matter what happens. I do hope it's not one of those ones where, you know, there's a contentious moment where suddenly it just, you know, because right now I think Celtic and Rangers,
every moment is a contentious moment.
I know, but Celtic and Rangers this year for me, and of course, listen, even in lockdown, the lunacy that follows this. We'll be analysing the game on Thursday of next week.
Oh yeah, and I mean the game will be analysed for, especially, I mean, big decisions. There's still analysis going on about with Willie Collum over awarding a penalty to Rangers over Kirk Broadfoot. So I don't know how many years ago that was. So that's still.
But do you think Willie's the best referee for the game?
Well, we've been talking about it all this week on the programme. I mean, are there only really three candidates of a pure bunch? You know, Bobby Madden, Willie Collum,
John Beaton.
John Beaton.
I think Willie's the best referee in Scotland. You know, I just think he is the best referee, and he's the best man for the job. You know, I'd give him every Old Firm game, the Cup final, the semi-final, give it to him. I think he's the best referee.
What makes him the best referee?
Because you can talk to him. You can have a conversation. He'll listen, he's a bit, you know, theatrical, and when he's refereeing and he tells players this is that, you know, a bit like Mike Dean in England. But I think Willie's the best referee. You can actually talk to them. Some of them you can't talk to. there's an arrogance and a situation where you just cannot have a word with him. But I think Willie's the right referee for the game. He'll get control of it, experienced UEFA referee, and I just, like you say, just hope there's no any silly incidents that mar the game, because it's going to be a cracker.
Yeah, it's probably one of 3 of the last Old Firm games we're going to witness, Ian, before VAR comes in.
Yeah, well, we can't wait for that. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of debate over every decision in an Old Firm game. Referees are up against it. I'll take Charlie's obviously still playing the game, and his experience of Willie Collum, Bobby Madden. I mean, it was the same in my day. There was referees who you could have a talk with, and you could have a bit of a banter during the game, and they were the best referees.
Yeah.
There was other people, if you even said one thing, they booked.
Yeah.
So
Who was the best referee for you that you could have a bit of banter with?
Well, there was quite a few that I would have a bit of banter with. I mean, Brian McGinley, the Hope brothers, Kenny Hope, and again Bobby Tate. I mean, there was loads of guys who would have conversations with you, and some comical ones. They would wind you up at the time, but then you would realise then you got to be chuckling at yourself, because at least if you were moaning about something and you didn't get too in his face, then he'd give you a warning and say, behave yourself. You're having a nightmare, so get on with the game. So again, that's what you want. You want a referee who can relate to the tension that obviously an Old Firm game, all the stuff is going to come from the sides. Every contentious decision will be looked over, I'm quite sure, and dissected by everybody after the game. So again, I would take Charlie's opinion that he's the best man for the job, because he's experiencing them just now. So good luck to him.
It's an interesting one, isn't it, Hugh?
I think it's really fascinating, because it's always good to get this is why we sit and we listen to ex-footballers, because there's that insight that we can never possibly have. I mean, we just, it's beyond our ken, literally.
Yeah, there's an old when all the best players were always in the stand.
Either, of course, I mean, all the critics.
Get your shinnies on, by the way. That's the first one he's landed.
But it's true, you know, it's very interesting. It's why even now, heading towards 67, as I love talking to footballers about football, because they give you a different insight into what's actually going on in the park, because all you're doing is watching it. And it's why programmes like this are so popular, because what's happening is, like, Charlie and Ian is just opening up that dressing room door a wee bit so the rest of us can peek in to see what does it feel like to play in an Old Firm game? Why is this guy a good referee? What is it like to play with a great player? What it's like to play with a not so great player? And that's what I think. Collum, my 3, I think you couldn't go outside the 3, would be Collum, Beaton and Madden. And I think it's interesting that Charlie talks about Collum being easier to speak to, because the other 2 have a reputation of not being very easy.
No, you can speak to them, but I just think the way Willie referees, and he has a personality and an aura in the game himself, and I like that about him, that he stands for nothing. He knows what he wants, and that's it. But like you say, some conversations, you can't even say, what was that for? And there's just a total blank with some of them, Yeah. And I, like I say, have reputations in England with people like Mark Clattenburg and that. You'd be playing well and that, and you'd hit a pass and you'd be like, what did you hit that for? That was hopeless, and things like that. You can have a laugh and you have a joke and that, and I'll say, ref, that was never a foul and that. He's like, why was that? I said, well, because it wasn't a foul. And he went, oh, I might have got that one wrong. But you can have a conversation.
Yeah.
So I think that's important.
Just out of curiosity, to take this thing out of the game that's coming up, what did the ref say to you when you lobbed Courtois from inside your
I actually can't remember who was the referee.
Just thought I'd get an insight into there, Anyway, apart from anything else, we hope we're not talking about the referee. I'm going to get your predictions on this one. It's so finely balanced. I can't separate them. I've gone for 2-2. I think there'll be goals, because there's enough good players on the park to give us what we hope will be a thriller. Ian has already got... You haven't given you your scoreline yet, Ian. I'm going to hang on for that. Charlie, what's your thoughts and why?
I'd love to see a 3-3. Just Old Firm classic. But I'm going to go for 1-1.
1-1, okay. And still the title going to the wire elsewhere.
Well, absolutely, the title will go right to the wire. I don't think both teams can win every game for the next 6 games it'll be, won't it, for the end of the season. I think people will drop points, pressures of games, Sundays and Saturdays and things like that. So I think there'll be still a long way to go.
Yeah, and somebody's always said to me, we always used to get slightly miffed if anybody decided to go for a draw, because obviously you always thought it was a cop-out. So with that in mind, I've gone for 2-2, he's gone for 1-1. Where's your money at, Hugh?
I could see, for the first time, like this season, for a long time, it's back to being a competitive fixture.
Yeah.
Because before, under Rodgers, you didn't go in really expecting Rangers to do anything. Last season, you didn't go in expecting Celtic to do anything. We sat in the show and said, I think one day we said, there's no possible reason to come up, there's no rationale to come up for a Celtic victory. There's just no rationale. And that's what's proved. This season's been different. What people forget is the Rangers won the first game, right? Celtic have won the second. So the long roundabout way of saying, I can see any result happening, but I said at the last game that if Celtic scored early, they would win. And I'll say that again, if Celtic score early, I think that just suits the whole setup of that Celtic team and they'll win. And if you're putting me down on the basis of that, I would say Celtic 2-0.
2-0, okay. And Ian, what's your scoreline? Because I know you've picked Rangers to win it.
Well, I'm just because of home advantage, and I think the crowd will play a major factor. And I think Rangers, it'll be drummed into them, I'm quite sure, by the manager, that how important this is, that they don't allow Celtic to get a bigger gap than they've already got. I do quite agree with Charlie as well that a draw wouldn't be.
I agree with that.
It wouldn't be a disaster for Rangers, because there's still a lot of football to be played between now and the end of the season. Important games as well, and pressurised games, even when you're playing against teams who may be struggling at the other end of the table. They're fighting for their lives, and it won't be easy to go to places when they're doing that. So I think I'm going to take Rangers to edge it, mainly because I do think that they have the quality in the team, the Ryan Kents, Aaron Ramsey, Kemar Roof coming in as well, a goal set, Joe Aribo, and I think they look quite solid, especially with Ryan Jack coming back into midfield. I just think they'll just edge it, but 2-1.
2-1, okay. Listen, that's the joy of this, because it's opinions, and then by the end of it, once the game unfolds, once somebody gets the first tackle in, once somebody suddenly produces a wee moment of magic, it can all change. It's incredible, this game. You actually never tire of it. The only thing I do obviously tire of, and I become critical of it, is the fact that both clubs seem hell-bent and killing it as a fixture with the away supporters. I think it was always a spectacle of having a huge away support at either ground. That's the only thing that annoys the life out of me with it, and I think it diminishes it as a match. On the park, brilliant, can't wait for it. I hope you're looking forward to it too. If you're going to the game, you know, go there, enjoy it, go home safely. It is only a game of football, incredibly. Dundee against Aberdeen is another game of football, and dare I say it, it's one of Ian's old sides. It's you. First of all, the big question: are you? Every Dundee fan is hanging on it. Are you fit and ready and available for selection?
Available.
Yes. Okay.
No, I'm available. It's been a tough week, illness, and coming back from injury. But no, I'll be ready to go tomorrow if picked, and. It's like I say, we talked about the Old Firm, it's about winning titles. This is a relegation battle for us, and we're in it. We're in the mix, and we've got to enjoy it. We've got to go and try and put a show on, enjoy the moment. Aberdeen got a good result against Hibs in the last time out, but they've not been in great form this season. Aberdeen shouldn't be anywhere near they are, and we've got to try and capitalise on that. So we'll look forward to it, to bring a great number of supporters down tomorrow, and another big challenge.
3 wins and 16 at home. It's not great.
No.
Have you, in training this week, spotted a spark?
Well, there needs to be a spark. I only come in, yesterday, Thursday, so there seems to be a bit of more of a camaraderie, a bit of vibe from the lads. Maybe the break might have done us a wee bit of good. We'll wait and see, but come 3 o'clock tomorrow, lads need to turn up, show the fight and the hunger and desire that they showed for big spells against Rangers in the last game. And like I say, put in a performance. We've done well against Aberdeen twice this year. Home, we battered them. We should have had more. Away from home, obviously, we had a big COVID situation, but the lads done really well in the game and could have nicked something from it. But it's a great game to be involved in, and let's say big support, and it's something that we're looking forward to.
Yeah, well, if the need for you is potentially greater in trying to avoid relegation and catching St Johnstone, as far as Aberdeen are concerned, it's hard to believe this is an Aberdeen side trying to get into the top 6, and there's a clutch of teams all in that middle section of the Scottish Premiership that can all make a move. Aberdeen, 2 games before the split, they need to win both of them. Jim Goodwin is not having a draw anywhere in the last 2 matches.
You know, we know what we have to do. You know, a draw's no use. We've got to approach the game in a real positive mindset, albeit we know it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be straightforward. Dundee are, you know, fighting for their lives. It's a massive game for both clubs, and it's going to be a very difficult afternoon.
Well, there's been a wee spark, Ian, from Aberdeen in a very poor season for them. They've changed manager, and certainly speaking to our reporter Andrew Shiney up there, he senses a sea change.
Well, I was at the Hearts Aberdeen game a couple of weeks back. I got invited up to that match, and they were very poor that night, I must admit. They defended very deep. They had nothing much to offer going forward, unfortunately, and Hearts won 2-0 that night and won very comfortably for me. And I was sitting with a couple of Aberdeen fans who were at our table, and they said that was the worst they'd seen them ever playing at Tynecastle. So Jim's got a job in his hands. I'm quite sure he's in there, a new manager taking over, trying to put his stamp on it, trying to motivate the players in his way. They're in a position that you wouldn't expect an Aberdeen team to be in. So again, it'll be a difficult game for my old club Dundee, but I'm quite sure if Charlie's fit, that'll be a massive boost for him, because I watched him playing against Rangers. I did the commentary for that one on the Rangers TV, and they a lot of commitment. I thought they were a bit unfortunate not to hold out a bit longer, but they were under siege in the second half. But again, the first half performance and the way they started, I thought there was a few impressive players playing for Dundee, and I thought the young boy up front had a real good game. The fullback who put the ball in for the goal as well, I thought ran that left-hand side in the first half. I thought he did extremely well. They just probably ran out of steam against a Rangers team who were sort of dominating possession and had a lot of chances to score. But hopefully they'll come up with the goods and get the result they require to try and escape relegation. But it'll be a hard one for both clubs. I think Aberdeen are in that false position. They expect to be higher up the league. And again, with a new manager in the helm, he's just trying to put his own stamp on it.
Yeah, I say this to Ruffy on quite a few occasions, and I might as well mention it to you as well. You know, you can go and watch a game without having a starter, a main course, and a sweet. I just thought I'd mention that to you. I just get this said, you know, he could swan around that many clubs that he's played for. Yeah, just give me the prawn cocktail.
I know. I was even down at Glenafton the other week there, and I walked in, and what's there? A big picture of Ruffy scoffing, because he managed them, of course, when they won the Scottish Cup.
It's incredible, but nevertheless, we're going to have to give a prediction on it, Hugh. And
can I do it when that Charlie goes home?
So you've obviously picked Aberdeen.
No, I was just looking. I'm thinking to myself. I just wonder. I haven't been two-faced because he watches the programme. You need a spark. Charlie's mentioned they need a spark. My personal opinion is they need him, because the team looks as if there is no linchpin of experience. I mean, as Ian will tell you, and you've played with many a great player, if you've got someone who makes a 5 and 10 yard pass, which people think simple, it's not. Dundee against St Mirren, when I went up to Dens Park the other week there, my God, I mean, a 5 and a 10 yard pass from him suddenly makes Dundee a different side.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's better Charlie can maybe close his ears now with it, you know, because he's going to get praised and he's going to give him a terrible prediction. But yeah, I mean, you need your best players playing at these points in the season. People will talk about the biggest game of the weekend, quite like Celtic and Rangers, but will not be for these people at the bottom, you know, Dundee at the bottom. This is everything. They've got to do it now.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked earlier on that Dundee's ambition now is to finish second bottom.
Yeah.
That's the ambition.
What's your prediction? I've gone 2-1 Aberdeen.
I've gone 1-0 Aberdeen.
Yeah, it could be tight. What are you going in?
Well, again, I'd like to see my old club get a result and get away for the bottom of the league, and I'm quite sure with somebody with Charlie's experience coming in, if he's going to be involved in the game, that would help them immensely. From what I saw, they do need somebody in the middle of the park to control that area for them. Having watched Aberdeen against Hearts, I'm going to go for Dundee to win 1-0.
There you go. Charlie and Ian still hanging about together as unfortunately for us, we've just absolutely baseball batted Charlie. But then again, our friendship is strong enough to survive it.
Did I say Charlie Adam was going to score?
Yeah, I should have said that. Anyway, in a 2-1 defeat. But nevertheless, it's going to be a battle. Elsewhere, there are other great stories in the Scottish Premiership, mainly at Fir Park as well, because there's an old boy coming back. Stephen Robinson is heading back to Fir Park to take on Motherwell, but this time as manager of St Mirren. And I think St Mirren, like Aberdeen and so many clubs in that clutch in the middle, are looking and saying to themselves, a win could just propel you up into an area which would please the supporters. And I think Stephen Robinson's well aware of the pressure trying to get a win against his old club.
As I said in the previous answer, I don't think anyone's put a run together, for all the 5 or 6 teams chasing a spot in the top 6. Nobody's put a run together. There hasn't been a load of consistency from anybody. So, listen, I think it's still all to play for every game now. For the next 2 games is going to be high pressured. Obviously, starting with Saturday is an opportunity to go and get points to try and get our place in the top 6. But, that's not to say we can't get anything from the Rangers game next Sunday as well.
Yeah, he's been fairly optimistic about it, and they've got Rangers coming up on the horizon too. But Motherwell, it just seems as if the bottom's dropped out of it, Charlie.
Well, it's like they started the season poorly. They got their wee point gap. They had a good run, and then they fell away again. It's just inconsistency. Graham must be scratching his head thinking, what's going on,
Well, I'm wondering about Graham, because he's actually just turned around and said something totally bemusing in this press conference this morning. He's just talking about performances rather than where they finish.
It's not about, right now, it's not about where we finish in the league. It's about trying to win the game on Saturday. So that's what we focused on. And on the process for that, what we have to do defensively, what we have to do attacking wise, how we have to, put St Mirren on the back foot and try and create opportunities for us to score. So that's what we focused on. Is you can talk about the past, you can talk about the future, but really it's about the now and the present.
Yeah, this is a manager giving us the cliche, it's one game at a time and it's about this game. But if I listen to Motherwell fans, if I listen to Tam Cowan, who was on here, it's basically, there is unrest, that they're unhappy with Graham Alexander as manager right now, and it could be very much about where they finish.
I think so. It's interesting because, we're talking, Charlie was saying, like at the beginning of the season, they did well, and they did poorly, and they had that wee run. And on that wee run, I saw them playing Dundee at Fir Park. I went to the game. I didn't get a meal or anything. I didn't get my 3 courses, Peter.
Was that the second game or the first game?
I think it was Motherwell won 1-0. I think.
Tony Watt scored. The game changed when I went off injured.
Dundee were far the better team.
No, we were the best team, and then I went off injured.
And that changes. It's 3 points one way going the other way. And I wasn't really impressed with Motherwell that day, even though they were on a good wee run. But the whole league. We talked about this whole league after Hearts. Everybody's said can be beaten. Everybody's wee runs or not went runs and things like that. It's been quite a mediocre league, I think, that way.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I've got Motherwell to edge at 2-1.
Yeah.
What do I know?
I think I went for a draw, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
St Mirren had a good record at Motherwell, have they?
Yeah, absolutely. But I've still gone for Motherwell. I don't know. It's just something about them. They need to get something.
I'll go for the old one. I think Stephen Robinson will get a result there.
Yeah, I would plump for a draw as well. I think it'll be a cagey. So I think the Motherwell have really missed the boy Tony Watts. And obviously,
definitely.
You take somebody who was performing so well for them and scoring goals, and that's a really difficult thing for the teams down the bottom end of the league. Charlie will know that at Dundee to get somebody who'll pop in the goals that Tony Watt was doing. So again, I think they've missed him very much. So I'm going nothing each.
Yeah, you've got 1-1 in your shoe. Here's a point which I think is going to obviously open up so many people offering their own opinion on it. But Ross County against Hearts, Malky's done an unbelievable job. I always say that if you're talking about pay grades, Ross County have landed a manager way above what they normally would get. I really do rate him. But I think he's got
By the way, Malky will not be there on the cheap.
No, absolutely
You
not.
know,
But
but-
because I know Roy McGregor, he's put his money out there.
He'll be getting a good salary.
But he's also the manager of, for me, a contender for Player of the Year. He's got Regan Charles Cook there, who's been outrageous.
Yeah, I've seen him a few times this season, and I've always been impressed with the way he's got them organised. And again, some really good players in the team. They're coming up against a Hearts team who I think are firing on all cylinders as well, and I think it'll be a really good game to watch.
Yeah.
I think both clubs are on the right track.
Has Beningame a big loss to them?
Oh, massive! I'm really impressed with him. I mean, now that you can say his name, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
Beningame, but he was. He's been a really good, strong player for Hearts, and unfortunately they've now lost him for the rest of the season. But I think they'll consolidate that one because they've got quite a strong squad, and they've got players who are standing up to the mark as well, and getting Hearts back up to where they should be, up the top end of the league. And I've been very impressed with Robbie Nielsen and the way he's handled getting Hearts back into the league. He came in for a bit of criticism. I was at the game, and there was a few people maybe not totally convinced about him coming back, but I think he's produced some great performances and got a really good squad of players together. And again, he managed to hold on to John Souttar before when the transfer thing in the window. So again, that game against Aberdeen, he was by far and away head and shoulders above everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's an outstanding game. Yeah.
In fact, I would go as far as to say, if you're talking about somebody that could rival you for hitting a 40-yard diagonal, and he's a centre half, he's a top man for it, isn't
He's
he?
not bad, yeah. I mean, Connor Goldson are very good passes at centre back. So no, he's been a blow, obviously, injury and that. Beningame injury will be a blow for him. But they got people, steady players that will come in. Peter Haring's done an excellent job coming in, and you know, when you got people like Barry Mackay who can score you a goal at nothing, he's done. I think Robbie's done an excellent job.
I've got Hearts to win 2-1. You?
I've got a draw, I think.
Yeah. Charlie?
Yeah, I'd go for a draw as well.
Yeah. Are you going to go for a?
I'm going to go for a Hearts win. I think they've got enough in the side to, even although Ross County have had a good season, I still fancy Hearts to sneak it.
Yeah, you're beginning to do my head in, by the way, because quite simply, you're covering all bases for
It's all my old teams.
For just about
All of them, to be fair.
I know, and I'm just
And then
thinking,
another one
and you've
coming
been
up.
going coming up. I know as well.
What about that?
By the way,
Oh,
the meals are secure.
Oh, you get an
Next
invite
6
back.
months, it's and the good thing is because he comes from the same village, I can say to him, by the way, you're doing my head in. It's as simple as that, because
I'll just keep going last.
Yeah, Ross County Hearts is one thing. Hibs Dundee United, I can't work out Hibs. I mean, he still hasn't got it right. He needs a transfer window to clear out what he doesn't want. But I'll tell you one thing, he's managed to get one of the players that I rate highly in Joe Newell on a new deal,
Newell,
because Newell is, I think, neat, tidy, and it offers him something different.
And Maloney will like him. He's a Maloney player as well. You know, he's
Yeah.
a passer and the guy will not afraid to take possession. I'm going to go for Hibs for a narrow victory. Don't ask me why. Just because I think, you know, they've been a wee bit unlucky in games, I think, and Dundee United might just be done enough end of the season kind of thing.
But it's still not guaranteed they're going to make the top six.
I don't think it's guaranteed.
Somebody,
Who is
somebody at the
guaranteed?
bottom could just drop out of somebody in 2 defeats.
Exactly.
And suddenly.
I mean, we're talking about Aberdeen having a desperate season, and they have had a desperate. I mean, you know, talking about Aberdeen trying to get into the top 6, who would be having that conversation at the start of the season?
Yeah.
But they can still make it. And but I just think Hibs might have the bit of the quality. The big thing about Hibs, I think, was losing Martin Boyle. You know, I think that was a that was a
Because he goes
clincher.
that way.
Yeah,
He goes forward.
and we talked about it before. See the difference between teams, you know, say after Hearts have done really well this season, the difference between the teams in the middle is who's going to get your goals. And if you get somebody that's going to get you 10, 12, 13 goals, that changes your season.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got. I can't separate them. I've gone 1-1 because
I think I've just gone a narrow victory.
Yeah, because I think the two of them, you never know what you're getting from 1 week to the next. Charlie.
No, I think I'm the same. You don't know what both teams are going to turn up. I think Hibs might just edge up.
Yeah. Okay. Where are you going?
I'm going for a draw as well, one each. I think they've got Nisbet and they've got Tony Watford and United as well, who could pop up with goals. So I think it's too difficult because of the form of both teams. They're not being consistent. So again, playing against each other, I do think Sean Maloney's still finding his feet in there, and quite rightly probably needs a transfer window to bring his own players in.
I think it may need time as well, because he strikes me as one of these managers or coaches that will be quite detailed in training.
Yeah,
as
he's
well.
very detailed. That's what I hear, that he's pernickety on how they want to play, and an inch is an inch, and you know, it makes a difference to them. So it's going to be tough for them.
Sometimes football is a simple game overcomplicated by players. I quote Bill Shankly on that one, because quite simply Callum Davidson is trying to simplify St Johnstone's remit for the next 2 games, and then the split as well, which is quite simply one ambition: finish above Dundee.
First and foremost, it is trying to keep yourself ahead of Dundee. It's going to be tough. You know, it's a lot of twists and turns to go between now and the end of the season. But I think for us, it's remaining positive, keeping that attitude we've got, and that belief in the group. I think they can see it. I think with the players coming back from injury, you know, it's a big squad. It's a strong squad now, and the belief's there. And we know if we're going to make changes, they're going to be strong changes. And I think you can see that within the players.
Yeah, there's something about them. They've transformed their side. He switched it about big time, Charlie. I fancy them to edge Livingston by 1-0. You're obviously hoping they're going to get pumped.
Yeah. I'm hoping for a David Martindale special. And listen, it's a game that one thing about Davy's team is, you know, they'll be at it and they'll be up for it. It's not like the season will be petering out for Livingston, which gives you a chance, you know. And I'll be hoping that Livingston can get something from it for our sake of the game. But it's you know, from where they were, St Johnstone, to then Callum getting that transfer window in January, you know, he's managed to turn it round.
Yeah. Hugh, what have you gone for?
I think I've gone for a draw.
Draw. Yeah. Ian?
Unfortunately for Charlie, I'm going to go for a St Johnstone win. I do like David Martindale. I think I like watching these Livingston team play. He sets them up well, and you know what you're getting from him. But I do think St Johnstone will just edge that one for me by the odd goal.
Okay, listen, we've talked non-stop, and hopefully you've enjoyed the chat. We're almost out of time, but I'm going to ram in a couple of things that deserve a one-word answer here and there to try and get it all in. The Scottish Football Writers have revealed their International Player of the Year nominees. So it's Gordon, Gilmer, Dykes, Tierney and McGinn. So where's your money? McGinn.
Tough one, Tierney maybe.
Tierney?
McGinn.
Yeah, I'm going to go John McGinn on that. All good candidates, but we'll wait and see. I don't think I'm really sticking my neck out here, Charlie. It's the Challenge Cup final at the weekend. It's Raith Rovers against Queen of the South, and I'm backing Raith Rovers to win it with a good couple of goals to spare.
Yeah, no, Raith they've had an up and down season, and then obviously the controversy over the David Goodwillie stuff as well has not helped. But if they go and win this trophy, it'll give them a wee bit of good news around the club and the supporters again. So yeah, I'd expect Raith to win.
Raith Rovers from me, Pierre.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, okay, and well done to Cove Rangers' Paul Hartley. He's the League One Manager of the Month. I think they're looking to go through the season undefeated.
I tell you one thing, it's tough luck in Airdrie as well, because Airdrie have come with a really great run of form, and they're just going to run out of games.
Yeah, absolutely, it's been incredible. Just last word on it, Hugh, because obviously we are all hoping that Scotland get past. Fingers crossed Ukraine, because they're out of this terrible situation they're in with Russia. They get a team together to play. We're hoping to get past Ukraine and Wales again to get to Qatar. But even then, we're in pot 4.
Yeah, but just being there, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay if there's a pot 5, I would take it.
As a reserve pot.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy with that, Hugh. And of course, we might run a competition to see if you want to be one of 9 people who are staying in Hugh's flat in Qatar, because we'll all be steaming in there. Listen, we've talked about football. It's been great having Ian on. Hopefully we'll get Ian back in here as well, because I'm absolutely dying to see his all-time 11 of the players he's played with, who makes the cut, who doesn't, and of course, will it come up against Charlie's and give it a good game? Ruffy at the moment, I think, has delivered the best 11 of the players he's played with. Maybe these two will give him a run for his money. Apart from anything else, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you hit the bell, you'll get all the notifications of when we're live, 4 o'clock till 5. And if you download the PLZ Soccer app, it gives you all the breaking football stories, not only in the UK, but across Europe and across the globe as well. Simple as that. Great to have Ian with us. I think we'll maybe get a chance to sit down and do an hour show with him on his great goals and see if he can give Charlie a run for his money. Charlie, I'm glad you're fit. I don't know what level that is, but good luck for Dundee. Fingers crossed you battle away with that one. They certainly need you in the middle of the park. And from myself, Hugh, Ian and Charlie, to you, thanks for watching.